time for the off-season to come to a close. Our Sigma Cup Series first season under the Sigma banner, and it's starting off hot as we've got 57 cars lined up to try and make the main event here this coming week. It's going to be very fascinating to see who's going to make it through the duels here tomorrow night. But before we can get to those duels, we're going to have qualifying here for us. I'll keep tuning in. And first on track, none other than your defending champion, Al Bunch. Takes to the track early here in this qualifying session. Kind of unique qualifying program that we've got here for everyone, as can be group qualifying. So if you get to draft with some folks, you might actually be able to take pole position here tonight. There are 2 spots up for grabs to lock yourself into the main event. And so the 2 fastest qualifiers at the end of tonight will be locked in to the main event, the Sigma 400, next Thursday. So as you can see, with a kind of a special layout here, we've got the qualifying. Ignore it says practice session. I know it says that, but it's actually our qualifying session. And so we get to follow live time with the whole leaderboard. So far, the only 2 drivers with the reported time, that of Jack Ross and Al Bunch, Chaz Chadwick as well. So yeah, Al Bunch currently with the fastest lap. He didn't have any drafting help, so I don't know how long. Yeah, Jack Ross just bumped him. So let's start looking for folks that might be grouped up. It's gonna be kind of interesting figuring out all the new faces and the new places. A lot of familiar ones, but like right there you got Maggie Ream. It's gonna be her first season in Cup. Obviously, Jack Ross all too well. He's been a regular up at this point. New paint for quite a few drivers as well. Tyler Landa there, number 7 Domino's entry. Very different than last year. Toyota Supra style. Toyota Gazoo Racing, there we go, I had to stumble on that one for a minute. So Domino's comes aboard here in 2025. Fascinating story here is the Cadillac of Nate Newman opening up his own personal team here in 2025 after having a Rookie of the Year campaign with Atlee's team, the Toyota Racing Department. TRD, now known as the Racing Department instead of Toyota Racing Development. Trying to venture in his own territory here for your Cadillac. Their first full season of Sigma Cup action. And there we've got Dalton Scott, number 15. This will be his farewell tour. Your inaugural Sigma Cup champion back in 2010 as they celebrated his 15th anniversary. He's running the number 15. And some of that Jaguar power that we all know is going to be tough to beat this year. So, yet no one has ever gotten 2 championships in Sigma Cup competition. Thank you. Hopefully that fixes it a little bit. Alrighty, sorry about that. Yeah, it's on my new computer, so I am definitely troubleshooting here tonight. It's a good thing that we're getting it into the practice session and pretty much baptism by fire here. Currently fastest in qualifying, Nelson Chacon. That's a name you don't see at the front very often. As we can see right there, he is at the lead of this group with Lynn Farrell, Tristan Reams, and Krista Cower. Oh wow, Wyatt Wilkinson just jumped to the top after 6 laps. Let's try to find him out on track and see how that happened. Not finding him yet. Maybe he pulled back down on pit road. Getting some service done. Oh, there we go. In the group with Dalton Scott there. And just like that, Eli T. Wolf, fastest. Jordan Walker, your truck champion from last year, making his full move over to the cup side. Kara Shangle in third, Wyatt Wilkinson and Jacob Shangle rounding out your top 5. We're down to about 21 minutes left in the session. Eli the Wolf definitely was set to kill on a lot of races last year, so not knowing what he's capable of, it's very interesting to see him coming out of the gate strong again here on. Just as I mentioned that, Jacob Shangle tops the board now. Wilkinson comes down pit road. There is some perks to being up in the top of the leaderboard, as it's going to help set you up your qualifying position for the duels tomorrow. And so, for example, Eli the Wolf, this would be duel 1. He would start actually everything as it is. This is basically how they would start for duel 1. It's not like in we'll make it easy, but the one thing we will have to keep an eye on is if the second session tonight's actually quicker than the first. So, for example, obviously Jacob Schengle is 48.557. Detail to note about that would be if the second heat or second qualifying session here tonight, both drivers go 48.4, 48.3, then your second qualifying session would be your top two positions that would transfer in on qualifying speed. Everyone's minding their P's and Q's here in qualifying, not tearing up any rigs. It is pretty crazy that I want to say the race we had here last year went wreck-free for majority of it. So could be a situation that we run into again this year at Armory Digital Superspeedway. As you see here, Chaz Chadwick leading this group. Tasha right behind him. 94 of Eli T. Wolf, Tyler Aspinall, Jacob Schengle, Kellen Relic, and Kara Schengle. And three of that group all in the top 5 currently in the qualifying. 4 of the top 5 now, as Tyler Aspinall jumps up to 4th there. Nate Newman must not have been able to find a drafting partner out there. His fastest lap about 2.5 seconds off the lead. Got James Gunner in 28th, also more than 2 seconds off the pace. Not till about Adam Starr that you see someone only 1.5 seconds off the pace in 27th. Three wide in this group. This might get interesting. Ant Meeperson 26th in the running order right now. Maybe getting in the draft here could help him up his pace a little bit. So Ant Meeperson with a 49.8. Last lap, it looks like a 50.382. Now that he's in amongst the draft here, we'll have to see if he improves on that time. Another slow car, looks like gonna hold up our group here a little bit. There we go. Ant Meeperson turned a 49.502, so that jumps him up 3 spots. Doesn't really equate to all that much, as we're really looking for pole setters here in the qualifying session. Jordan Walker, your defending champion in the USA Trucks Combined East and West Overall Championship from 2024. It's really where we kind of capped everything off, the most exciting action that we had at the end of the year, since Al Bunch pretty much had tied up the entire Cup Championship 4 or 5 races early. Jordan Walker had to fight for it. It was going to be between him and Cording, and ultimately Jordan Walker prevailed, earning his first ever championship in Sigma competition. And at the moment, making his maiden voyage in the number 10 Toyota. He did run limited schedule here in Cup last year. He's up to third quickest. 48.695. He's just a hair off of Eli the Wolf there for second. You can't split it any closer than that. 48.695 and then a 48.694. It's looking a lot like the track's getting away from him later in the session here, as we're just a little bit past halfway now. This looks like a hornet's nest right here. This group keeps gathering a couple extra drivers, it seems like. And 3 wide, looks like they might even get Taden Berggren mixed in there. We'll have to see if a bigger group makes for bigger speed, or perhaps just a wreck waiting to happen. Four wide on the backstretch here. You got Ant Meeperson and Chaz Chadwick in the middle, Kellen Relic on the low side, Jacob Shingle on the high side. Cooler heads prevail. Back to 3 wide on the way into 4 wide territory, nearly again there. I guarantee you this is not scripted. I would not have wanted myself to be leading in qualifying like this. Seems crazy that rolling out of the gate with a brand new manufacturer, the 64 Jacob Shingle Racing Genesis. With a little bit of help from Hyundai down in the lower series, they've been able to bring Genesis up to the tops. And we'll see just how good, if it's going to be a good year for that Genesis team. Teammate John Hagan in the 88 as well. I think we would see him in the second session of qualifying here tonight. Howdy, James. Haven't missed much. We've been pretty reserved here. Not a lot of carnage or chaos, but a lot of drafting, a lot of shenanigans up at the front here. We did have Wyatt Wilkinson up at the front. The lead has shifted a few times on who's had the fastest qualifying lap here. I figured we'd take a stab at it this year. I've never done this before, never actually ran qualifying, but this is my attempt to try and get us on the likes of a Daytona 500 week, where we're covering every angle of the race week. So these guys, this is the first time in Sigma history that we've actually ran a qualifying session to set the running order for anything. So it's a pretty big deal. And I'm going to use the save editor to help line up the drivers accordingly for each duel. As it looks right now, it would be Jacob Shingle, Eli the Wolf, Jordan Walker, Tyler Aspinall, Kara Shingle, Wyatt Wilkinson, Tasha Wright, Tyler Shingle, Kellen Relic, and Ant Meeperson, your top 10. And then you'd have Maggie Reams, Adam Starr, Chaz Chadwick, Jack Ross, Andre Stefan, Tyler Landa, Lewis Trost. Surprisingly, Al Bunch all the way back to 18th there. We knew that there was a bit of drama in the season last year with Jaguar, and Sigma officials stepped in and tried to basically nerf the Jaguars. So we might see a different Jaguar this year. Someone else just turned a fast lap. Who was it? Ooh, Taden Berggren. Now that he's in this draft that we're following, this seems to be the speed draft right here. Yeah, I don't mind the, it's gonna drive me nuts. The resolution is kind of wonky for this first ever practice qualifying session that we've got. Texture on the top could be a little bit clearer. The resolution of the cars looks a little bit squished. I guess kind of think about it, a lot of like the real NASCAR streams, they do picture-in-picture stuff like this all the time, so. Not seeing quite where the speed is in the track. It does look like Tyler Aspinall last lap turned a 48.9. That's getting back into the range of lap times quicker to where he can get back in the mix. Seems like this group's kind of gone stagnant a little bit here. Not as many people falling in line in front of them. Kellen Relic with a 49.001. That was his fast lap last time. Just not seeing the 48s left on the track here. Everyone's running about 49 at the fastest. You'd think some of these drivers would come in and get some fresh tires. It's totally legal here in the qualifying session. Come back down, get some fresh tires, and give it another stab. We go Adam Starr making the move down pit road there. James Gunner, part of the Sigma special for JSR. Going to make select starts in that number 62 for Jacob Schenkel Racing. A lot like the racing department and their Rookie on a Rampage program. Kind of our equivalent of the Rookie on a Rampage program, as we will run the Shangle Impact Rookie powered program here, and that's going to include the 62 of James Gunner and the 66 of Roach. 66 Roach will be in our second qualifying session here tonight. But ultimately, I feel like the big surprises right now stand out to me, being Jordan Walker, of course, sitting third fastest right now. That's a huge turnaround from his rookie campaign last season, where he was holding up the back of the field. Looks like winning the truck championship has helped them stabilize a good program behind him. Wyatt Wilkinson's a huge surprise, as this is his first laps turn in a Cup car, period. So the fact that Wyatt Wilkinson is 8th fastest in qualifying here, that's going to bode well for the duels tomorrow, where I think Wyatt Wilkinson could be a threat. Tasha Wright, also another one of those drivers making her maiden voyage here on the Cup side of things. Seems like she's having a good run there in the top 10. But the factors that are kind of the surprise, like surprise negative, or I guess the opposite of, it would be the fact that Al Bunch is 22nd fastest. You've got Dalton Scott, your 2010 champion, 24th. And even Monty Shangle struggling a little bit here. Maybe they've got a better setup for race pace and not quite putting all their eggs in the basket to qualify. You already know Al Bunch is locked in, so it's not like it's going to make a big difference where he starts in the duels tomorrow. But like Dalton Scott, for example, he's not locked into the main event. He's going to have to race his way in. Looking towards the bottom of the list there, you got James Gunner, Carson Bowers, Krista Cower. Those are all drivers that are going to have to race their way in. Eli the Wolf would have to race his way in, but if it stands, if that 48.694 stands as a fast top 2 times, Eli's going to lock himself in and make one less opportunity for a driver to race their way in to the duels. Well, we're getting down to the final handful of minutes here in qualifying session number 1. Didn't look like anyone else was able to find. Wow, 48.658. How is that not faster than there we go. Eli the Wolf found just a little bit more speed out there. Was able to turn a 48.65. That is huge as he shrinks the margin to Jacob Shangle with the fastest time. Jordan Walker, 3rd. Gonna have to knock off about 3/10 there to catch. Whoa, actually more like 3. Yeah, not much. I'm just amazed that Eli was able to find an extra gear here with just a handful of minutes left in the session. Might someone else have just a little bit more in the tank here? And I'm going to save a screenshot of this session so that everyone can refer back to it during the second qualifying session. A couple more drivers pulling off. That's all they got. It's what they put down. It's the best they got. At this point, anyone left on track's pretty much going to be throwing a Hail Mary here if they want to try to take the top time. That's all she wrote for qualifying session number 1, as it's now in the books. A couple more drivers coming back out though. Jack Ross, we'll have to see. They've only got enough time for 1 lap, it looks like. Wyatt Wilkinson back on track here. Dalton Scott, Guido Piano. There's 3 champions right there in that picture. You got your ARCA champion of 2024, Wyatt Wilkinson. 2010 Cup champion, Dalton Scott. Your 2023 USA Trucks champion, Guido Piano. Actually, I take that back. 2022, he won it, not 23. So 3 different champions, 3 different disciplines, ARCA, Trucks, and Cup. Just missing a Busch or Bridge to Cup driver. Alrighty, it looks like the red flag has been thrown. I think these drivers that are on this lap here, it should allow them to finish. Seems like a few of them waited a bit too long to come back out at the end here. And who's gonna have different times here? Not gonna be fast enough, as Wyatt Wilkinson comes across the line with a 49.821. Well, qualifying session number 1 in the books. Alrighty, so we will go ahead and pull back. Start qualifying session number 2 here. And after the stream concludes here tonight, I'll get it all squared away so that we'll have the duels ready and prepped for tomorrow. Looks like we're going to have Jimmy Logano here in this second qualifying session. First out on track, though, it is Trevor Walker. We'll see if he can find the magic that his brother was able to pull out for that first session. So the times to beat are going to be a 48.557 and a 48.658. Kevin Xavier made select starts in 2024. Now making a longer season of it this year. And we running the number 14 Honda Accord for LFG Motorsports. Got Jessica Hergeson in the 44 there, unsponsored. Maybe with a little bit of luck here this coming week, they can get some sponsors put on that car. And rookie on a rampage, number 19, Willow Blake. Well, let's put the spotlight on her for a minute, as this is kind of an interesting start of the season, as one of our defending champions stepped down, went on to go do bigger and better things in his career. Your 2023 champion, none other than Atlee Weiss, is still running the show in a managerial form right now with the Rookie on a Rampage program, or Project Roar, for another way to say it. But He had Willow Blake pinned to run this car for 14 races this year, along with the likes of Wyatt Wilkinson and Trevor Vaden. So we're going to be seeing Willow Blake for the first 2 races here at Armory and Daytona. And then Trevor Vaden at Brands Hatch, Wyatt Wilkinson at Irwindale, race number 4. It's a very exciting program that they put together over there at TRD. Number 19 looks a little different this year. It does pay homage to Atlee Weiss in his 2023 championship season. So you've got a very similar white and red number 19 to the one that Atlee won the championship here 2 years ago. Atlee Weiss was able to go out on top, winning his last career start at Indianapolis in that number 19 machine. So Will Blake definitely has some big shoes to fill, jumping into that 19 seat after we saw 2 spectacular seasons from Mr. Atlee. James Fireball Robert to the top. Let's go see if he's in a large group. No, he's right behind Willow Blake's group here. Got John Hagan at the front of that one, as well as Lucas Holmes and Alan Taylor. Taking them a minute to get up to speed here in this second qualifying session. As you see, they're only in the 50s. Gonna take a large group to gather. As we are now 5 minutes into this second qualifying session here tonight. There we go, James Fireball Robert turned a 49.9. And number 95 is a Cording Brothers Motorsport Chevrolet. It's going to be interesting to see what KBM does with the switch over to Chevy. Chevy's been in desperate need of a flagship team to carry the torch. And I think KBM may have just been the secret formula that they were waiting for. Jimmy Logano there in the 28. He's going to have to race his way in. Currently 10th fastest, so not terrible. Looks like maybe 8th fastest. The game hasn't updated yet. Shows him in 8th on the leaderboard there. Now it shows him in 10th. Brian DeBlanc right there behind the 41 of Cooper Dwight. Dave Steele Jr. making his foray into the Cup Series for the first time this year. It's definitely looking like the slower session. They haven't really materialized a big drafting group. Got Bradley Ream in this group, along with John Brinker, Roach, Cam Jordan, Trevor Walker, and Kevin Xavier. Too many single car runs. This might be the best group right here, and they're only able to muster about a 49 to 50 second range. So for those not familiar with the duels tomorrow, we do have charters in the Sigma Cup Series. And the way it's worked out, there are 34 chartered entries locked into the main event. Following that, you will have the 2 duels tomorrow and 5 drivers from each duel, unless, of course, unless tonight, like Eli the Wolf looks like he could potentially take second here in qualifying, would lock himself in, meaning there would only be 4 drivers coming out of duel number 1. And that's insane because duel number 1 actually has a larger field. It has 29 drivers, while the second one has 28. So just unfortunate circumstances for the drivers stuck in duel number 1, that they might have a harder time to qualify for the main event. Dang, they just are not finding any pace out there. This group not getting as much speed out of the track as our last group did. The Genesis was on top in qualifying session number 1 with Jacob Schenkel. John Hagan has an opportunity here to make it a Genesis deadlock for qualifying. He's gonna really have to pick up the pace to do so. Found a little bit more speed. He's gonna be up to second here. Now it looks like everyone else found some speed too, as that actually drops him back to 4th with a 50.013. So everyone turned a quick lap this last lap out. Willow Blake up to 3rd, Matthew Fastnot 2nd. Trying to read the field here to see if we're going to have a quicker group to follow, but it seems like right here is the quick group to follow at the moment. And John Hagan just turned a slower lap that time. Braden Varga was a very fascinating story in 2024. He came out of nowhere, pretty much jump-scotched his way all the way through the ladder to make it into the Cup Series out of the gate, and has not looked back. The only thing he was short of was getting a win in 2024. He was able to do just about everything else, as he was able to climb halfway through the field, finishing 30th in the points and missing half the races too. He only started half the races. And per the rule book, that keeps him eligible for Rookie of the Year status here in 2025. If you start more than 50% of the races in your first season, you are no longer considered rookie eligible. So, very much within the rules. Braden Varga, rookie contender here in 2025. It's going to be interesting to see what he can do. It's actually probably one of the stoutest fields of rookies that we've seen in a while. Rich Roy jumps up to 3rd there with a 49.949. Here we go. There's a group. This is a group we want to watch right here. Looks like a lot of fast cars in this group. Could start dialing in some laps here. Finish line here, similar to kind of a Talladega almost, where it's not quite in the center of the front stretch. Going to provide us with some opportunities for exciting lead changes and possibly even good finishing here for the duels and even the main events later next week. The delta from fastest to slowest is insanely larger in session 2 here, as the span from first to last was 2 seconds in Q1. Q2, you've got about a 5-second spread almost. Yeah, 4 seconds from first to last. But it's only about 2 seconds from first to 27th, so looks like 28th driver might just be an outlier a little bit. A lot of the teams getting the rust knocked off, the dust dusted. These teams haven't been out on track for nearly 2 months. Some teams haven't been on track ever. So a lot of programs getting put together to start the season here. The only reason we've got 57 drivers trying is you've got a lot of ARCA, you've got a lot of Bridge to Cup, got a lot of truck presence in this Cup race, as it's getting bigger and bigger each year, the season opener in the Sigma Cup Series. So it's going to be a pretty big deal for some of these folks to make the show. Getting through the duels tomorrow is going to be a huge task for some of them. Just qualifying tonight, duels tomorrow night. That gives me the time I need to get pretty much everything. I'm going to use a save state to manipulate the orders for each from each qualifier here, and organize the dual starting orders based on how these qualifying sessions went. Man, I am not seeing the speed in this second round. I mean, we're down to 15 minutes left in the session, and fastest lap still belongs to James Robert at a 49.8, which is a full second and a half roughly off of the lead time from Q1. Roach just turned their fastest lap, 52.489. So that gap has shrunk from 4 seconds down to 3 from your top to bottom. I do feel like Rich Roy might be the impressive outlier here, as he only made one attempted start in Cup last year. That was for the Music Fest Grand Prix. Whoa, there we go. New top of the board. Alan Taylor takes P1. And that's why it's this group again starting to dial it in a little bit. Whoa, the 95 of Fireball drops low, coming down to get some tires, it looks like. There really is a lot on the line here to get that fast time. If anyone can even eclipse the 48.5 set by our fastest in Q1, they would be able to lock themselves into the main event. It doesn't really make a difference for those that are chartered. other than the fact that they're going to be starting first and second, they'll be pretty much actively credited with the pole position for the main event next week. There's some times popping up there. You got Dave Steele Jr., Trevor Walker, still second off the fastest. There we go, fresh tires. This might be the crunch time that gets a few folks closer to the front. It's always nice to see, too, when you do a group qualifying session like this, that you don't have any crashes, chaos, pandemonium. Everyone's been staying clean and just getting their laps in here tonight. There's a group right there. This group looks primed and ready. Whoa, the 09 joins the group there a little bit late. 50. This could be an interesting one for Tom Cording to finally be in a quick group here. This might change everything for that 50. He's having to maneuver around his teammate there in the 95. Fireball dropping like a rock here. Yeah, they just couldn't get organized there. And really sucked for their lap time. How neat. You got Chris Hergeson and Jessica Hergeson running side by side right there. That's pretty neat. Well, as of right now, Dave Steele Jr., Trevor Walker, John Brinker, Alan Taylor, and Rich Roy, your top 5. Hopefully not too quiet. I'm kind of dialing things in with the new computer here still. Wow, 3x3. Cooper Dwight there. Camp Jordan. .965. 49.422. Now, with this session starting to close to a draw here, not seeing the improvements to get up to a 48.6. They would have to get a 48.64 to take P2. Definitely one of the, factors in hosting two separate qualifying sessions. You never know what the track might be like for another group to come out later. And I thought, specifically with this group here, the way they have materialized, that you would start to see some of those fast laps get knocked out here. But it doesn't seem to be a cohesive group putting in fast laps, unfortunately. Wow, Daniel Paulus Jr. jumps to the top with a 49.272. He's in the middle of the pack there, so evidently getting a little bit of help in the draft with the rest of the folks in front of him there. Down to 5 minutes. As I mentioned already, you're looking at the order here in qualifying as they will line up for the duels tomorrow. So if things stayed the way it is, Daniel Paulus Jr. would be on the pole for duel number 2. However, Daniel Paulus Jr. is not going to be on the front row for the Sigma 400 as a 49.272 is actually good for 27th overall. We had 26 of our 29 drivers in qualifying session number 1 faster than the entirety of session number 2. That's actually pretty wild. So you could look down the, you could look down the entire list from qualifying number 1, and there's only 28th and 29th that were slower. 28th and 29th would be about mid-pack here in this session. Well, folks, it is but day 1 of Speedster Days here in the Sigma world of racing. Speedster Days similar to, or trying to be like, Speed Weeks at Daytona. Speedster Days started here tonight with the qualifying for the Sigma 400 next Thursday. Day 2, we're going to see the duels. And then unconventionally, we will have the weekend off. Saturday and Sunday, you're not going to see any racing action, but instead we will have real-life NASCAR back, so most of y'all will be watching that, I imagine. But then Speedster Days will resume on Monday, and this will be the only week in the season that I'm going to live stream everything. So it'll be late, it'll be 7 p.m. start of the trucks on Monday, and then Tuesday we will host the Bridge to Cup Series event starting at 7 p.m. All the races here at Armory Digital Superspeedway. Then Wednesday, it's going to be the Sigma ARCA season opener. And then we cap off our 6-day stretch with a 2-day break in between of Speedster Days with the Sigma 400 right here from Armory Digital Superspeedway. So everyone's getting their final laps in here. It looks like they're only going to be good for about 2 more laps. And yeah, they were not able to find that speed here in session number 2. Your entire top 27 from qualifying number 1 were putting out some blazing laps. It looks to be, it's going to be Jacob Shangle and Eli the Wolf on pole and outside front row. Eli the Wolf was going to have to race his way in. Luckily for him, he's going to qualify his way in here for the week. Daniel Paul's calling it a day here. Unless they can find the time. Yeah, I don't think they've got any time left in the session, so he ain't going to be able to get another lap in. There we have it. Sigma 400 qualifications are now pretty much in the books. From this session, it really is a surprise to see Daniel Paulus Jr. at the front there. DSRM, Danny Ricciardo, Motorsports for Jack Ross. They are not known to have fast cars. Obviously not the fastest car between the 2 sessions, but fastest in this session means he's going to start front row in duel number 2 tomorrow. James Fireball Robert, much improved from his last season. Dave Steele Jr., your Bridge to Cup successful driver in 2024, won 5 races. Cam Jordan, Trevor Walker with the top 5. You got John Brinker, Alan Taylor, Rich Roy, Tom Cording, Chris Hergeson, Matthew Fastnock, Kevin Xavier, Jessica Hergeson, Willow Blake, and John Hagan, who are going to have to come deep in the field. Deeper than that, you got Cooper Dwight, Bradley Ream, Jimmy Logano, Lucas Holmes, Liz Shangle, Braden Varga, Justin Day2, Ewan Whatarmy, Gannon Bird, Brian DeBlank, Chris Harvey, Bella Fawn, and Roach. And so with that, we are closing out the night here. Armory Digital Superspeedway is going to be a busy racetrack here for all the season openers. Warring it out here, waging battle on the Superspeedway. It's going to be an exciting week of racing next week. But we'll all kick it off with tomorrow night's duels. And hopefully y'all can make it, tune in. It's going to be around the same time as it was here tonight. If not, you can always obviously catch it on the replay the next day, thanks to YouTube. But that's all I've got for tonight, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Going to be exciting. Hopefully, those that need to run their way in can make it. Hopefully, we don't have too much chaos and carnage. Just some great racing. So, have a good one, everyone. Stay safe out there. And until tomorrow night, this is Jakester signing out.